Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We'd like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. In this video we will be sharing our analysis of the data that underpins Max Verstappen's truly unbelievable pole lap and victory at the Japanese Grand Prix, that fulfilled the expectation of the trio of Sky presenters we referenced in our previous video. To recall, after the debutant Tsunoda had finished around 1/10 of a second off their champion after FP1, the reporters lavished faint praise on him while suggesting that their champ must have been taking it easy, or Yuki had his settings turned up higher. Unfortunately, for them, the eagerly anticipated Christian Horner, for whom they had primed their intro, debunked their claim by saying that his drivers were on identical engine modes. But what they have unwittingly revealed from our analysis of all the data over the weekend is that Max is possibly the one who has access to some higher settings that are outside the jurisdiction of his teammate and the FIA. This, in our view, is the most plausible explanation for the unbelievable progress that he made over the weekend, where he went not only from 8th in free practice to pole, but to also go on and secure a lights to flag victory. The McLarens that were consistently exchanging the lead at the top of the table, with brief interruption from their engine supplier, until he snatched it away at the end of Q3, could not overcome him during the race. This would be the first sign that the car had somehow been surprisingly transformed into a pole sitter, and it wasn't a case of Max punching above the car's weight unlike his teammate. Because if Max had truly been punching above the car's weight, then he would have clashed with the McLarens on track and required some good fortune or team strategy to win. Something dramatic and fortuitous would have to have happened during the race to give Max the opportunity to open a lead that the faster McLarens would have been unable to overcome. But instead, he was able to stay ahead comfortably, with the only sniff of an opportunity coming when Lando was coming out of the pit lanes. Aside from that solitary incident, Max was able to outpace the McLarens for 53 laps despite them outpacing him for all but one lap pre-race. Our analysis of the timesheets up to Q3 provides disturbing evidence that suggests that Max's exceptional performance was manufactured. To start with, his teammate, who on his debut had been able to match him to around 1/10 of a second, did not enjoy the suspiciously meteoric progress that Max made over the weekend. Furthermore, while other teammates swapped places or maintained parity throughout the weekend, Yuki got progressively worse as Max got exceptionally better. This was the first of many outliers produced by Max and Red Bull. But not only did Yuki's performance drop, it dropped below that of the Racing Bull drivers, including Liam, who was demoted for his benefit. So, the debutant, who at the first attempt had put in the best ever performance from Max's teammate, ended up with the worst performance of the weekend that Max walked away with a surprise pole and race victory. The media brouhaha after FP1 suggests to us that this was expected in certain circles, and the Sky presenters jumped the gun. Critically, Max was the only driver to experience the kind of performance boost that one sees in movies or cartoon when the Dick Dastardly character presses a secret button. Guess his boost, coinciding with his teammate's decline, will teach Yuki not to get too close to the heat, in the land of the rising sun. There are so many other outliers in the data from FP1 to Q3, that it is a testament to the state of F1 today, that nobody is speaking on it. Putting some more flesh on the teammate comparison, Verstappen was one of 4 drivers who improved their times each qualifying session, with the other 3 being Antonelli, Albon, and Hadjar. Critically, while the Mercedes and Williams drivers improved by 1 position each round, the Red Bull drivers made more significant leaps as Max went from 6th to 1st, while Isaac went from 13th to 7th. With Russell finishing Q1 in 2nd, there was very little room for improvement, whereas with Antonelli starting from 8th there was significant room for improvement, and the fact that they finished astern in 5th and 6th is to the youngster and Leclerc's credit. With Albon, he and his new mate were running close to each other throughout free practice, but Sainz was just the wrong side of the cutoff in Q2. However, it is at Red Bull that we have the anomalies not only of a driver falling away while his teammate was experiencing a meteoric rise. This effectively confirmed the story that the Sky presenters had wanted to sell at the outset, which was unfortunately punctured by Yuki's FP1 performance. So, to protect the legend and maintain the narrative, from FP2 onwards, poor Yuki got progressively worse as Max got better and Red Bull produced the widest disparity between teammates to gas up the legend. As Yuki made the biggest drop between FP1 and 2 to go down from 6th to 18th, Max made a much smaller drop from 5th to 8th, and hey presto, the Red Bull drivers were now 10 places adrift, but they were nevertheless on the same trajectory. They ended Q1 again lying astern, but just like in free practice, Tsunoda subsequently fell away as dramatically as Max rose. This highly suspicious and exceptional pattern reflected the narrative that Sky had already foretold, as the margin between the teammates was not only the widest on the grid, but abnormally so. Over at the junior team, just to make sure that Lawson knew his place, his teammate was able to do him like Max did Yuki, but not to the same degree. And to put the icing on the cake, Tsunoda finished the lowest of all the Red Bull drivers as Max took pole position. The legend was fully restored and the curse of the second seat lives on. But hang on a minute, the suspiciously abnormal movement in positions between teammates is corroborated by an even more suspicious improvement in time across the grid. For the purpose of our analysis, we compared the best times posted in Q3, and where the teammate didn't make it into Q3, then we looked at their best time in whatever sector, and so on and so forth. That being said, the gap of 0.984 seconds between the two Red Bull drivers was the widest between teammates in the top half of the table by a significant margin. The 0.934 between the Aston Martin drivers is only to be expected, given that Alonso is a double world champion and Lance is the team owner's son. Max produced a timesheet that is just too good to be true and runs contrary to the rest of the grid, in a manner that suggests he was receiving assistance from somewhere to overcome those who had been outpacing him all through free practice and Q1. The data suggests that Max's car improved dramatically during the weekend to make it the fastest on the starting grid. This does not accord with the media narrative that he pulled out a performance above the car's capabilities. The equally dramatic decline of his closest teammate to date also sits oddly with the fact that up and down the paddock all other teammates swapped places or maintained par. So, Yuki's performance should at the minimum have kept pace with Max's on an upward trajectory, even if at a significantly flatter angle. Last but not least, having just supposedly sneaked ahead of the McLarens, he stayed ahead of them rather comfortably during the race, so it remains to be seen what will unfold in Bahrain in a week's time. Will Max be in the mix from FP1 or will he dramatically improve during the weekend? Forza Ferrari.